Hello and welcome everyone to my class in philosophy. Well, this is just an introduction to philosophy. So in this lesson, we'll be discussing the meaning, nature, scope, goals, importance, branches, and epoch in philosophy. Okay. So the first question would be, what is philosophy and where it begins? Do you have any idea? Okay. So philosophy comes from wonder to wonder. Now, wonder is to be filled with curiosity or doubt, an event inexplicable by the laws of nature, a miracle, a feeling of bafflement or doubt. While wonder is to walk or move in a leisurely, casual, or aimless way, an act, for instance, of wandering. I go to a certain country and wander in many different places. Okay? From wonder to wonder. Philosophers' definition arises out of wonder, out of curiosity, out of desire to learn and to understand things. According to the philosopher, philosophy is a process of analysis, criticism, interpretation, and speculation. When we say analysis, it is if we know how to synthesis and antithesis. Synthesis is putting up an idea or event of the same characteristic together, while antithesis is removing from or put it out or removing ideas. It's the same as from general idea to specific idea or from specific idea to general idea. Criticism is a process of commenting or giving a judgment, even if it is positive or negative. Interpretation is demonstration of ideas, and speculation is being satisfied. So, these are the processes that we do in philosophy. We analyze, we criticize, we interpret, and we speculate. What is philosophy as a term or a word as a word? Philosophy comes from the Greek words philia and sophia. Philia means love, while Sophia means wisdom. So basically, philosophy is the love of wisdom. By the way, what's the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Well, knowledge is just a million of information that we know, while wisdom is something that is deep. It is an ability to make sound judgment. Okay, so that is what we're trying to do in philosophy. Now, philosophy also attempts to answer life's big questions, questions about what people believe, and it also examines ourselves and our beliefs. For sure, you have a lot of questions in life. Okay, so questions about what, why, and how. Why is this pandemic happening right now? Why now? Why? What would I do? How I'm going to survive? For example, a question on belief. Do you believe in God? Why? How can you believe? How come you believe in someone whom you do not see? Do you believe that murder is wrong? Why? What if I murdered that person? It's because that person murdered my family. Is it is just? Is my definition of justice correct? Why? Why not? Do you believe that euthanasia is evil? Why? What if we don't have any more money to sustain for the hospitalization of the family member? So these are just some of the questions of values. Is cheating wrong during exams? Why? What if I'll not be able to pass the exam? What will my parents tell me? What would I do? Okay, these are just some of the questions that we'll try to answer in philosophy for us to be able to give deep and sound judgment. Okay? Have you ever also looked in the mirror and asked yourself, who am I? Why am I here? What should I do with my life? Who am I? Aside from my name, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why do I have to go to school? Why do I have to work? Why do I have to eat? Why do I have to sleep? What should I do my life? What should I do with my life? Okay, these are just some of the questions. Now, if you want to live a worthy life, Socrates said that the unexamined life is not worth living. Meaning, living a worthy life, the first thing that you'll need to do is to examine your life, to examine who you really are, to examine your real purpose. Okay? So, in philosophy, philosophy will help us answer all these questions. To sum it up, philosophy is love of wisdom. To gain wisdom, we should have knowledge and action. Okay? Now, let us remember what Socrates said before as we continue in our discussion in this subject. That he said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. So meaning, if you want to gain wisdom, you should have an open mind. Meaning, you do not know everything. Okay? From that point of view, you will be able to gain wisdom. Okay? So let's proceed. Now, these are the branches of philosophy. We have metaphysics, logic, epistemology, religion, ethics, politics, aesthetics, and science. So if you can see, all of these branches will be discussing it one by one as we go along in this subject. Okay? So, ethics. What is ethics? Ethics questions on how should we live? What is good and evil? What is the best way to live? Is it begging in the street or working hard to earn money for my family? What is justice? Is justice giving what is due to the person? Or is right and wrong the same everywhere and different everywhere? Kissing in the public, is it the same in the Philippines, in Asian countries, and in the European countries? We'll try to answer that one as we go along in our discussion. That's ethics. Is cheating right or wrong during examination? Okay? Now, epistemology. Epistemology explores the nature and limitations of knowledge. So it investigates how knowledge is obtained. How will I know that what you know is right? How will I know that what I know is correct? So that's is the goal of this subject, epistemology. So how do we know what we know? How is knowledge acquired? Huh? So intriguing. But we'll be discussing this in our next discussion. Next branch of philosophy is metaphysics. Metaphysics is going what is beyond. Meta explores the fundamental nature of reality and being, ontology, existence, objects, properties, space and time, cause and effect. Questions would be, what is real? What is reality? Is what am I seeing real or not? How will I know? Diba? Is what I am believing real or not? How will I know? Is what I am tasting is real or not? How will I know? And that's the purpose of metaphysics, So we go beyond what we see. We go beyond what we feel. We go beyond what we know. We go beyond what we receive from our senses. Okay, that's metaphysics. Another branch of philosophy is politics. Politics explores the relationship between citizens and governments. The other day, our president of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, gave his fifth SONA, State of the Nation Address. So there are a lot of questions that we wanted to ask. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it right to pass this bill? Is it wrong not to pass this bill? So on and so forth. Huh? A lot of questions in politics that we'll try to answer in this subject. Is it illegal or illegal? The closure of ABS-CBN, the passage of anti-terror law, and a lot of questions that we need to ask. How will we know if it is right or wrong? So that's philosophy. So questions would be, how should government be organized? What makes our government legitimate? Who decides who the leader should be? What laws are good and necessary? What should law or how should law be enforced? Right? Especially during now that we're experiencing this pandemic. How are we going to enforce ECQ, GCQ, MGCQ, so on and so forth? All the CQs. So that's politics. Now, another branch of philosophy is aesthetics. It explores the nature of beauty, art, taste, with the creation and appreciation of beauty. Okay? Questions about what is beauty? Sabi nga po nila, once they said that beauty depends on the eye of the beholder. What is beautiful to me may not be beautiful to you. What is beautiful to you may not be beautiful to me. But what is important is that we should be able to appreciate the beauty in everything that we see. What is the value of beauty and art? Who should judge what is beautiful or artistic? How should art and beauty be judged? Okay, so these are just some of the questions in this branch of philosophy, aesthetics. Another branch of philosophy is logic. It is the rules for thinking, the systematic principles or rules for thinking rationally. Rationally. Remember that we are human beings. As human beings, we should think rationally because we are the highest form of animal. Huh? So inferences are made by construction of arguments, right arguments. Okay? Rules of logic determine which arguments are valid and which are fallacies. Not everything that we read, not everything that we hear are all valid arguments. We have to look up to it. Is it rational? Is it valid or not? Okay? So these are just some of the questions in logic. It is a philosophical study of the correct processes of thinking, the systematic study of argument, the rule of inference, distinguishing valid from invalid argument, examination of fallacies. I like this one. We'll be discussing a lot of fallacies in this subject. Using correct patterns. Okay, so now next, another branch of philosophy is religion, philosophy of religion, concerned with questions regarding religion, nature, and existence of God. How will you be able to prove the existence of God? Theology, study about God. Examination of religious experience. Wow, I am feeling like I'm in heaven. How sure are you? How do you know that you're in heaven? That you're experiencing like you feel like you're in heaven? Analysis of religious language and texts. Relationship between religion and science. Creation of earth, creation of the universe. Are we going to believe what's written in the Bible, or are we going to believe in science, the Big Bang Theory, but the origin of the universe? Okay? These are some of the questions that we'll ask in this branch of philosophy. Does God exist? What is God? What is the nature of relationship between God and humans? Is God active in the world? How? How is God active in this world? Is there life after death? What is the relationship between religion and ethics? Religion and science? Ba? So a lot of questions that are lingering in our mind. So interesting, this subject, really. Okay? And the last branch of philosophy is science, is concerned with assumptions, foundations, methods and implications of science, the empirical verification, inductive logic, objectivity of the observer. So the questions would be, what is the natural world? How should we study nature? What methods are useful in the study of nature? Can science establish natural laws which are absolute, meaning true everywhere and for everyone? What are the limits of scientific knowledge? Now, we always say, we always ask questions. Does it have any scientific, does it have any scientific basis? Everything should have a basis from science. Okay, so these are just some of the questions that we'll be asking. So, my dear, it is just an introduction of philosophy and the branches of philosophy. Okay, so in our next meeting, we'll be dealing with more questions, a lot of intriguing questions for us to be able to gain wisdom in this subject. So remember that philosophy is love of wisdom. And remember that to come to my class knowing that you do not know anything, for you to be able to gain wisdom. And that's all for today. So see you next meeting. Bye.